Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The LoDown. My name is Lo, aka NeroTheHero, and I will be your host as usual. So, on this episode of The LoDown, we're going to be talking about graphics processing units, or GPUs. We're mainly going to be talking about the markets surrounding them, just because it's just been in quite a bit of chaos lately, just with all the cryptocurrency mining and the miners buying up GPUs in order to mine more cryptocurrency, thus ruining GPU prices for those who just want to buy GPUs just so they can game. You know, I personally haven't been affected by this. However, that doesn't mean that this isn't something that bothers me. You know, I was lucky enough to procure my two 960s, my GTX 960s in, it was a while ago. It was before all this sort of cryptocurrency mining stuff blew up. I'm not even honestly sure if 960s are ideal for cryptocurrency mining, but I was able to get both of them for about $100 each on eBay. So I'm really fortunate in that regard that I have two, not just one, but two pretty substantial, decent GPUs that I can use for my gaming and stuff like that. However, there's people out there who are, you know, looking to either upgrade a pre-built PC with, you know, a newer GPU in order to boost the performance, because, you know, as opposed to just creating a whole new build. And there's also other people out there who are just looking to upgrade the build that they already have. Not only that, there's also people looking to just get into PC gaming to begin with. And it's really kind of unnerving, just because a lot of people out there are saying that going pre-built is kind of the better option, which it isn't always necessarily the better option, but it's just kind of crazy that, because a lot of the time with pre-built computers or pre-built gaming PCs, a lot of the time there's a little bit of fluff to the price and stuff like that. So most people who have built PCs before can go out there and build a PC on their own for less money than they could pay for a pre-built PC. And that's not really the case lately, which is just, it's kind of crazy if you think about it, right? So anyways, we're going to be hearing from Aztech Zero and KryptixTV, and just going to hear what they have to say about the whole GPU market thing. So let's start with KryptixTV. I started the last two with him, so we'll just keep the trend going. So let's see, I got him on right now. Let's see here. Hey Kryptix, welcome back to the LoDown once again. So what have you got for us? What do you got for us this time as far as GPUs go?
It's Kryptix. Thank you for having me, Nero.
Of course.
It was early January 2017, a self-freezing, ice-covered month, as is the typical conditions of a winter in Chicago. I asked a friend who was at this point about a little over a year in PC gaming to teach me, after looking at his custom-built PC rig, and so began my journey. He helped me roadmap my first PC. It didn't total over $1,000, even $800. Plus, it was also superb 60 FPS 1080p ultra settings budget build. Nice. But the most difficult question was, which GPU? I did my research. Power color 480s were going for $200 at the time, but when I was about to pull the trigger, it was the MSI RX 480 8GB Gaming X that had the true power. For $260, I managed to complete my build on February, like finishing the Yu-Gi-Oh necklace or completing 4 rows in Tetris at one time. Nice. And what a delight for sore eyes. Sore eyes that was barraged by 30 FPS. Maybe barrage isn't the right word, but slowed down. Then again, I was on a gaming laptop the year prior, sporting a GTX 960M and i7 processor. Nowadays, prices have skyrocketed. Cryptocurrency miners trying out stock for old and recent cards, like it was the NES Mini all over again, and no sign of a full crash in the near future. Regardless, just wait. Nvidia and AMD aren't the case. Like the used gains market, there's little to gain in real market share. Miners are ready to resell the cards once mining becomes more of a hassle making profits. One clue is due to them buying cards that are generation old. Basically, Nvidia and AMD will be in competition against cheap cards that will go against the newest products, and many will ignore those for a better price to performance ratio deal. Don't forget that AIB partners dealing with that. Recently, I've seen Nvidia open up a store in their website to help out affordable prices. Doing it to look as the good guys doesn't matter. It's still a great move for those wanting to build a PC or upgrade. I don't have a Houdini crystal ball or what the fuck you want to call it, but things will be alright. Regardless of current real market share, this is still considered profitable or a constant flow of cash for AMD and NVIDIA as long as it keeps going, and they most likely will have ways to handle the clusterfuck of the used market. Just feeds towards a larger research and development budget for much better GPUs in the future. Once again, I appreciate it that I'm here. Be humble, stay fresh. Back to you, Nero.
Right on, right on. It's always good having Kryptix on here. He's always got some good stuff to say. So, but yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to say thanks for sharing your story as far as building your PC, because, you know, I don't know, it's just always that first official build that you put together, and then when it first like hums to life, there's just, I don't know, there's something about it. I don't know what it is. But anyways, he made a lot of good points as far as the current state of the market. It's kind of a mess right now, and we have cryptocurrency to thank for that. So if you are looking to build a PC, upgrade your PC, whatever, it's probably a better idea to just wait at this time, just because this sort of thing, it sort of comes in cycles, I guess you can say. Because I remember when I first spec'd together my PC build, when my buddy had helped me put together a PC build, I remember cryptocurrency was something that kept popping up, especially because at the time, I remember I was watching a Jay's 2 cents video, and he was saying stuff about how AMD, just based on the architecture, disclaimer, I'm not super well versed in cryptocurrency. I did know first starting out, though, from hearing from what a lot of people said, was that AMD tends to be a little more efficient at mining cryptocurrency just because of the architecture and whatnot. I'm not really too sure as far as the science of it all goes, because honestly, it's not something that interests me too much. One reason why cryptocurrency doesn't interest me too much is because it's a volatile market. It's very volatile. It's constantly changing, going up and down and things like that. And it's also technically not an official currency. It's not necessarily really regulated either, because, I mean, one Bitcoin is worth probably thousands of dollars at this point, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something about it. It just seems kind of like open source money to me. And open source stuff belongs with software and games and things like that, not necessarily currency. I don't know. It's just something that's always kind of made me uneasy. And yeah, so I'm hoping that AMD and NVIDIA respectively do take measures to sort of combat this sort of thing. When I say sort of thing, I mean miners buying up cards in order to run them ragged at high overclocks, only to turn around and sell them back into the used market, and they're pretty much run ragged, and there's no guarantee of how much longer this GPU is going to run. So if somebody comes along who wants to save a little bit of money on their budget build, maybe it's their first build ever. Imagine the frustration of powering on your very first build with a pre-owned GPU and it craps out after the first month or two. Like, what kind of impression would that leave on you as far as PC gaming? If it were me, I'd be like, no, screw this PC gaming stuff. Like, look at this. This is exactly why I didn't want to get into it, because you run the risk of these parts failing. Don't get me wrong. One of the major benefits of having such a modular system is the fact that you can just pull out one part and replace it, not necessarily replace the whole shebang like you would have to with a console. But that's aside. That's a whole aside thing. Let's keep this rolling, and because I'm just gonna start rambling. So my next guest that we have on here is another friend of the show. It is Aztech Zero. So he's kind of like my resident tech expert for anything. I have a fairly good understanding of tech and stuff like that, but as far as like the nitty gritty and the more detailed kind of stuff, he's kind of the person I defer to most of the time. So let's see what he has to say about GPUs in the current market. Hey Aztech, welcome back to the show. So what do you got for us?
Hey ladies and gents, I am Aztech, and my good buddy Nero asks for, some of his friends to give their thoughts on the current state of the GPU market. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can tell, even though crypto prices have been kind of falling lately, drastically falling, the GPU market, even the used market, is still a raging dumpster fire. Cards are still being sold at a very high markup. And honestly, just wait. Seriously, wait a while if you want to get your hands on any 900 series cards from NVIDIA, or 10 series cards, R9 200 and 300 series cards, or the new RX 400 or 500 cards, or any of that stuff, even Fury cards or RX Vega, wait. Prices will be coming down in the near future, or at least they should. You never know, because crypto is very volatile. For all we know, it could go through another boom. But right now, I know it's very tempting because some of these prices have been so high now that even a slight dip is incredibly tempting for any prospective buyer. But I feel like it would be best to actually wait. And you know what? Even with crypto aside, I still think there are some problems in the GPU market right now, like gaps in the performance bracket, such as the gap between the RX Vega 56 and the RX 580. There is nothing to fill that gap. And I could say the same with the GTX 1060 and the GTX 1070. There is such a massive gap in performance between those cards that it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, honestly, I kind of wish we had like an RX 585 and a GTX 1060 Ti to kind of fill those performance gaps. But, those companies are making enough money with the current performance brackets as it is that they don't really have any incentive to do that. Right. They're better off just with what they have going right now. Yeah. Anyway, folks, those have been my thoughts, and I'll kick it back to you, Nero.
Thank you once again, Aztech. It's always a pleasure having you on. And yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Well, not first, but you've heard it here, folks. It's probably a better idea to wait as far as purchasing a new GPU. Even if you want to purchase a used GPU, some of the prices on there are a little frightening. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So, but yeah. So this is gonna be a short episode just because I didn't have as many submissions for this episode. And it's really just kind of more of an opinion thing more than anything else. Just to repeat the message once again, if you are in the market for a GPU currently, or if you're looking to build a gaming PC, whether you're new to the game or if you are a longtime builder, probably a good idea to wait unless you're super, super savvy at bargain hunting and whatnot. So, I mean, if that's the case, then hey, have at it. But otherwise, it's probably a good idea to wait. Now, as far as NVIDIA and AMD taking measures to sort of alleviate the issue of miners buying up all these GPUs, I have been reading somewhere on the internet in several places that there's concepts being developed of developing GPUs purely for mining, for that specific purpose. So what I mean by that is one crucial thing that would differentiate a mining GPU from a gaming GPU is the video out port. So that's basically where you would plug in your DVI or your HDMI cable or DisplayPort. So by removing that, you essentially, it makes it to where you can't use it for gaming. Like, you just can't. And I feel like that would be a pretty good idea to start with anyways. That way you can only, if you're a miner, I'm not saying you can only buy this card, but there would be more incentive to purchase this particular card. So that way, if somebody turns around and sells it on eBay, you can just look at it and be like, oh, that doesn't have any video ports. Of course, this is a mining GPU. I'm just gonna pass it and go buy something else. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then also, I feel like the companies they very well could just reach out to miners, and by miners, I mean people who mine for cryptocurrency, not people under the age of 18. Just wanted to make that distinction. Anyways, so one good thing that they could do, it would be to, reach out to the community. I don't know, whether it's offering a public survey or something like that, asking people, what kind of prices, what's a reasonable price that they would pay for a mining GPU. And what they can also do is just sell to the miners directly, the GPU miners. So that way you don't have retailers or resellers inflating the price in order to make more of a profit off of miners. So those are just a couple of ideas that have been rattling around in my head. I'm sure the higher ups at NVIDIA and AMD have probably already got something in the works. Hopefully they do, because I don't know. Like I said, this is kind of a thing. It's not directly affecting me, but it is something I care about, because gaming is something I care about, and more specifically, PC gaming is something I care a lot about. It's more and more over the last couple of years. And if something as trivial as the pricing of a GPU can keep somebody from getting into PC gaming or continuing to game on PC, that's kind of something I have a problem with, especially if it's something that can be dealt with just the simple. It's just a matter of just manufacturing more of these cryptocurrency mining specific GPUs. Now there's a whole thing of market share and all that kind of stuff. And just with any new endeavor, you kind of have to take a risk as far as, making a new offering into the marketplace. So I'm thinking, yeah, if they do offer a new line of GPUs that are cryptocurrency specific, they might have to take a bit of a loss at first, but that's something that can be made up on the back end just with things like volume and stuff like that. And also, if you're selling to the cryptocurrency miners directly, it's something that the manufacturers can dictate as far as the pricing goes. Like I said, if they do end up developing cryptocurrency specific GPUs, I feel like it would be better off for the companies to sell directly to the miners. And if it's something like an AIB partner, if they want to get in on it, it would have to be something like they'd have to stick to the pricing, or like a pricing model or something like that. So the market isn't just going crazy or something like that. Anyways, like I said, you guys, I'm not the absolute most tech savvy person out there, but I do have a few good ideas from time to time. So those are just kind of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the current state of GPUs and stuff like that? I mean, do you have an AMD GPU? Do you have an NVIDIA GPU? What do you love or hate about your respective GPU? And what do you think about the whole cryptocurrency mining thing? Do you think this is something that's going to sort of take off or stay trending? Or do you think it's something that is eventually just going to sort of fade off into the background? Because one thing I wanted to bring up was that I was actually talking to Aztech Zero about this off of the, it was just kind of like a random side conversation. I was asking him what his thoughts were on it. And one interesting thing that he said to me, because I brought up the fact that it's becoming more of a mainstream kind of thing. And his thoughts were that a lot of the time things go into the mainstream, or they enter the mainstream before they die off. And it seems like cryptocurrency is doing just that. It's hitting the mainstream. It's not necessarily dying per se, but I was reading an article actually earlier this morning about different cryptocurrencies that are trying to sort of be introduced, or trying to introduce new cryptocurrencies into the market. And a lot of them are just failing. And that could just be a sign that, of things to come. Who knows? It might not even be a worthwhile endeavor for NVIDIA or AMD to get into the cryptocurrency GPU mining business, because who knows? This thing might just completely tank the next day. And at the same time, it just might flourish. And to be honest with you, leaving something out of your manufacturing process, like a video port, I don't know if that's necessarily going to increase your cost for manufacturing. You know what I mean? If anything, it might decrease your cost because you're leaving something out of the manufacturing process. But, I'm not a pro in that sort of field, so what do I know? Let's have a discussion in the comments section below. Again, I'm sorry for this being such a short episode, but, I try to keep these under 30 minutes anyways, so let's continue the conversation in the comments section below. So with that, you guys, I'm going to get out of here, and until we meet again, please take care of yourselves and each other. Do something heroic today, game on, and demand something better out of life. This is NeroTheHero signing out. Peace.